This video covered the 4th Gen Prius 2020 to 2022 specifically. I'm not sure about the earlier year models, but basically if your air conditioner is blowing hot air at all times, no matter what, you're driving down the road with the engine on and hot air is coming out of the vents, and you try to adjust your controls here and nothing changes. For example, you turn the AC on and go all the way low and still hot air is coming out of the vents, it's probably not your AC compressor. The second thing you'll notice is that this screen, when you start the car, will be frozen for over a minute. No matter what button you push, nothing will happen. It's because this screen is recognizing something is wrong and it's trying to run a self-diagnostics to see what's going on. It will not give you the code though. After a minute, it'll just populate and you can push all the controls you want, but no matter what, hot air will come out. The way you run the code after that is that you push and hold auto and recircle at the same time while you push the power button with your left hand. Keep on holding those two buttons until the codes populate. If you get a 41 and 48 code alternating, that means your number 2 servo dampener assembly is broken. And that's what this here looks like. I'll pause the video for a second so you can see what those codes look like in an earlier video, and then I'll show you where the servo is. So now that you see what the codes look like, the shop that I sent it to, I paid for a $170 diagnosis or diagnostic fee because I wanted to make sure, since there wasn't that much information available on the internet regarding this 2021 model, I wanted to make sure that what I was reading online was right. And they gave me paperwork back after I paid the $170 saying it was the number 2 servo motor, which is this thing in here. So the book, according to them, calls for the removal of the dash. So they say that this entire dash has to come out for you to access that servo. And they want to charge anywhere between $1,600 to $2,000, depending on where you go, if you go to an independent shop or a dealer. And when I looked up where that part was, I saw it in here. It's that black piece in there. And I'm thinking, it looks like it's accessible without having to remove the dash. And this is where I think this differentiates between the older models of before 2020 and the current 2020 to 2022, is that I believe this is accessible while the older ones are not. So there are 2 screws, one there and one on the bottom here, but the third one is way back in the back. And I'll try to show that to you now. It's very hard to get to, but it is possible. So it goes right back there. And I have not put that screw back in yet because I just put the new one in. So I'm gonna do that. But what I found is that no screwdriver would fit back there except for this Motion Pro carburetor screwdriver. It's got a very, very small end on it and it fit back there easily, and I got the screw out, and that's how I'll get the new screw back in. So I disconnected it, was able to get it out. I ordered the new part number, which is 87106-06360. If you look up a part number that ends in 47180, that's the wrong part. That's the broken part that I have now. This part number is the new one, and I'm guessing they fixed an issue with the old one. I took the old one apart, looked inside to the servo, and it appears that this motor over here, I'm sorry, not that one. It's it's this motor right here has failed, or it's not communicating with the computer. So I replaced it, and immediately, it pops. It sits in there like this. Once you take 3 screws on, it pops out, slides straight down through the dash, through the bottom of the dash, and it immediately started working. So I saved a lot of money by doing this myself, and hopefully you guys can too. There's just a bottom section of the dash that pops out with clips, and then you remove the glove box, and it's easily accessible from there. All right, as soon as you start it, the screen populates. It's not frozen. I can make any changes to it. So that's your number 1 clue that everything's working properly. It used to be frozen before for over a minute. It couldn't do anything. But when you turn it on, go all the way cold. The servo is now moving. all working properly. So you can find the part as low as 150 online, but you might have to wait a couple weeks for it. I opted to get it from the local dealer in a couple days. I paid $220 for it. I was willing to pay more so I wouldn't have to wait. So that's the fix. Hopefully you save some money from it. If you have any questions or anything, listen in the comments and I'll try to answer. It was pretty easy once I got that screwdriver that was made it much more accessible. All right, good luck.